ignore that. Don't see that. So this front end is done. It's got wheels. It's got, can you see that? It's got a camshaft off of the servo motor. Can you see that? And there's some bolts here with some 3D printed parts. Actually, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 3D printed parts here. One on each end of the bolts, and 2 holding the inside of the bolts on the heads of the bolt, and then the camshaft. Oh, 6 actually, because there's a little tiny brick with studs. Couldn't get a regular one in there, so we had to make one. That's the nice thing about 3D printing. Well, let's go make it. We left off last time installing the Pi camera. This time around we're going to install the front end and the connections for all the wheels. So I've collected these parts here. There's a few custom pieces. So you'll notice these bolts, that's not a regular brick. But these are all standard pieces. These are all printed, and the files are available on Thingiverse in the link down below. So the reason for this was to get the right spacing and distance. I'm actually missing one of these. There should be 2 of those. I'm printing one right now if you hear it. And so I'm just going to go ahead and do the assembly anyway. Actually, I'm missing a couple pieces here. Just a sec. There we go. I think I got those. What happened is I had a fire with a LiPo battery, so I had to print 2 of these pieces because I didn't have them. It's a little bit shorter, isn't it? Interesting. So the first thing to do here is install this cam. What you do is you take, there's a little nub on the one side of it, and you pressure fit that right over the servo motor. It's actually better if you do it before this part of this step, so maybe I'm going to take some of this off. Okay, so this little piece, I didn't have enough space, so I had to custom make one of those, I don't know what they call it, axle brick, I don't know. This part gets a little bit trickier. It's not too bad, but these go through on the 3rd hole here. So you push those through. Then this can get attached. It snaps. Now, it gets a little bit tricky doing it this way. But that just fits in there, and then you pull. And then this is just basically a cap. But of course it's not fitting. Well, I'm printing a new one up, and I'll be right back with the new part. Okay, I don't know what happened with this one. It must be messed up somehow. So let's get it out of here. And these thread on. Put this captive nut in there. It pressure fits and screws onto the end. I don't know if you can see what I did here. Here's a before. The Arduino micro just sits right down on, well, it plugs into that header. This one has one of these boards here. Let me get back to that. So you can see these two wires too. What happened is these are SDA and SCL, as well as pin 2 and 3 for communicating back and forth on IC squared. For some reason, 5 volt and ground were connected. The traces connect 5 volt and ground, just these two pins right on the other side, over to TX and RX. Long story. This is the fix. So what I did was I took one of these boards, I took one of these, snapped it in half, put them at the same similar place to the bottom so it could slide down on, and then I took one of these headers, cut it in half, soldered it there, except I snipped off TX and RX, and then I soldered straight to pins, what is it, 2 and 5, and soldered them to 2 and 3. And yes, it's working. Okay, we're going to be able to drive this around soon. Sorry for the noise, but it's late at night. The washer is going. Couldn't avoid it, but it's pretty exciting. So I found out that I thought I checked this, but I don't know what's going on. I'll have to debug it more. But if I put, let me explain this. So I put a extension cable in here, and I pulled out the power out of here. So that one works. And that one, oh, there it goes. Here we are, booted up. One of my problems earlier, I didn't realize, I forgot we had done this. So an ESC back powers on the red wire right there the two servos. It's basically, we have a switch under here to turn on the ESC, and that'll power the two servos. So it's not powered off this 5 volt, it's actually powered off the ESC, which is getting power from here directly from the batteries, or in this case the 12 volt DC, AC, that voltage regulator there. So that explains the wiring. These two wires are still wrong. We'll get that fixed. That's in the process actually. And so now if you go, here's an updated CarPi Python script for, this is just a dumb application for passing values into the Arduino over I2C. Here we go detect the Arduino. The Arduino's on the I2C, the address 8, and we have 3 values. I did a little bit of trial and error with it off camera here. Right now it's at center, Value of 50 is full left-hand turn. Value of 90 is a full right-hand turn, and a value of 70 is centered. Now that we got the servo working and we've got the brushless DC motor working, we're going to install the front tires. There's not really a better time to do it. Might as well do it now. There we go. That concludes this video. I hope you enjoyed watching. We have the whole front end working. I'm going to go ahead and add code to the Arduino to limit the stops, and I'm going to update that the Python script on the Pi to I'm going to make it a little bit easier to use, but that's going to be for next time. So I hope you enjoy. There it is, mostly one full car. Now I say mostly because that gray part, that should be black. And that white part, that should have been yellow. But I had to go to Bricklink to buy a few of those other parts. Otherwise, we're all good for one full car. So, stay tuned.